me, I'm Ryan Nagode, head of our interior design for our North American products. Extremely excited, obviously, to be here today with you guys to kind of, get underneath the skin of the vehicle and really talk about what's behind, the Wagoneer S. And when you think the name, the nameplate Wagoneer, it's got some history, right? It's one of the first luxury SUVs created out there, right? And so there's kind of a mental state from a design team standpoint of what do we use to create the interior with that in our mind's eye. Obviously, from a sketching standpoint, we love to dabble. We love to look, reach wide. Obviously, Jeep has a lot of history. That bottom sketch was really, I think, one of the, like Vince had on the exterior, one of the key aspects of the interior was just this capturing, I think, a stateliness about it. Just this long, wide type of feel and appearance, and really strong linear elements throughout the cabin. You guys will see that when we get in. And when we think about the Wagoneer, in terms of the big brother, the Grand Wagoneer, and you look at some of the feature lines, the feature elements that the vehicle has, one of the most striking characters is this wing shape that's underneath kind of the lower portion of the instrument panel that stretches cross car. And I think that holds true as well in our Wagoneer S. One of the strong key lines, and we've also accentuated it with our lighting throughout the interior. If I look at the interior, we're going to be driving launch editions today. So top of the line, premium throughout the lineup of Wagoneer S. A lot of wrap surfaces, a lot of attention to details throughout the lineup, down to things like fabric piping on the seats, dual tone stitching throughout the interior, and I think just an overall expressive, clean but tech forward appearance overall to the interior. Here's a shot kind of sweeping. You'll see, and you'll obviously experience that getting in and out of the vehicle. I think a decent amount of space, maybe even a little bit more space than what you think when you walk up to the vehicle to begin with. In the rear, specifically, we have about 35 inches of rear couple. So a really decent amount of space in a D segment vehicle. Other aspects of the vehicle include our storage. So we have about 30.6 cubic feet of storage in that rear space. That's with the seats, their second row seat up. When you fold that rear seat down, you get about, I think it's about 61 cubic feet of space in there. So a ton of extra space. You also include the frunk. We have about 3 cubic feet of storage in that frunk, as well as a couple cubic feet underneath that load floor in the rear. So a tremendous amount of storage, even with obviously the stuff that Vince was talking about in terms of the aerodynamic forms and sleek features of the exterior. One of the, I think, highlights of the interior, especially for me, is really getting into the details. I think that's where our products sing. And no more is especially true on the Wagoneer S. You look at features like this is our shift knob. Just the detail, that is the first thing that you're going to experience when you get into this vehicle. Turn it to drive, you're going to feel that cold to touch knob, just the weight of that as you shift it into drive. And I think that sings through the rest of the interior. Right behind that shifter is our select terrain control system, our drive modes. Forward of that is our start button. So everything's really nicely co-mingling with each other right in that center console area. Another detail, maybe a striking view, is the steering wheel. So you notice has a little different shape to it. It's actually got a flat top, flat bottom appearance to it. That's also functionally true to give a little bit more visibility to our cluster in there. You also might notice that there's similarities with this wheel and our Grand Wagoneer vehicle, where you have a 2-spoke, so there's no 3rd spoke at the bottom. Really nice, obviously, on long drives to rest your hand in that area. Vince mentioned color and materials, so just the innovation that the team really tried to get into. So not just aesthetically, we're looking long and hard to try to figure out materials that had a good sustainable story to them. So if you look at some of the materials that are in the car, you get into this vehicle, maybe you wouldn't notice, but there is no leather. So that is all synthetics throughout the interior. It is leather free. That's there on the launch edition, as well as the future versions of Wagoneer S. Synthetic suede, so headliner, upper pillars are wrapped on this launch edition. 62% recycled content there. A lot of the fabrics in the interior, 100% recycled content. Carpets recycled. Every place we could possibly look and find, we tried to really search out a sustainable story for this product. Another piece of the interior, kind of large parts with the interior, is our deco trim. So we have recycled aluminum finishes throughout the interior. On the center console specifically, we have a ceramic coated finish, a really highly detailed. It's got some tactile feel to it. So since it's not visually, you can actually feel the shape of that bezel, which is really cool. And it's got a gloss black and flat black type of feel to it. Our instrument panel and doors have, again, recycled aluminum deco trim, stamped. It's kind of got a chainmail type of feel to it, a crisscross metal. Again, really tactile, really good feel, very premium in its overall feel and look. Back to the steering wheel, so some finishes on there. We have an all-new material called Cabo Vinyl. It's an antimicrobial finish to actually the steering wheel, but it really feels good. I think for most people, if I didn't tell you it was not a leather steering wheel, you wouldn't know. And I think that's part of the key for us, was trying to find these things that didn't degrade the customer experience. And then moving on to I think some of our technology aspects of the interior that include overall we got a gloss black finish overall. A lot of the surfaces that you're going to see on the interior. We have two interior finishes that you're going to see throughout the launch editions that you're driving. This is our global black interior, so you'll see a lot of those vehicles out there. A lot of attention to detail, again, on the dual color stitching, a little bit of wine accents throughout the interior. And then, as you see in this vehicle in front of me, the silver, we have our radar red and black interior. Very striking overall color and materials finished for the interior. Again, a lot of details packed in. We have both of these interiors for you guys to experience today. And then one of the aspects of the interior is lighting. So as I mentioned, that cross car kind of deco finish on the early parts of the Wagoneer, that kind of feel, that wing shape. That's accentuated by 64 color ambient lighting that's controllable in the head unit. Also reacts to certain things that happen on the vehicle in terms of doors opening and closing, changes colors. So that's fully customizable in 64 colors. So technology, integrated in a lot of the technology baked into this vehicle. So another hallmark of the interior. If I go through and just kind of highlight all this, we have 45 plus, and I think when you really sit there, I mean, we're close to 55 plus inches of technology baked into the product. But I think once you get into the vehicle, you'll notice, I think it's done in a really tasteful way. It's not a bunch of tablets sitting in the interior, very integrated. And I think that's a hallmark of what we've been trying to do with a lot of our technology on the interior. So if I call out attention to a lot of the interior displays, we have a 12.3 inch cluster, we have a 12.3 inch radio, a 10.25 passenger display, a 10.25 lower comfort display, and that lower comfort display also moves up to allow you to actually see some storage and some connectivity behind it. We also then include a 10-inch head-up display, and there's also then a digital rearview mirror. So a ton of tech baked into the product, but I think really done, again, in a tasteful way, clean and seamless. So a lot of tech baked into this vehicle. Some other aspects that you're going to play with and notice, we also have our vehicle controls. That's right below that 12.3 inch radio, capacitive touch bank there. And then I mentioned the controls around the start button shifter for our select train, our drive motor system. The system is Uconnect 5, so I know most of you guys are really familiar with the Uconnect 5 system. I don't have to get into everything, but just again, extremely fast system. We have full array local dimming on all of the screens, so that's going to give you strong blacks, rich whites, pumping through and passing through a lot of the sun that you're going to experience today. Flexible home screen, dual phone connectivity, TomTom navigation, and then one of the other features that Allison will get into, dynamic range mapping with that navigation. So that's important, obviously, from a BEV product to be able to know how the distances that you can go. Just give you a little bit of visual touch on our cluster. So as Vince mentioned, there's a little bit of simplicity driven into the user experience. This is our simple mode, really clean, just seeing the speedo up there. And then I'll move to a digital mode, so a little bit more information. You can see some of the graphics that play with the drive modes. And then our little bit more classic mode, but again, simple, almost graphics. And all of this is controllable by the left-hand button on the steering wheel that looks like a little menu button. You click that button and you'll be able to cycle through the different displays. And the fourth one is then actually a full screen navigation in that cluster area. So play with that when you guys are out there driving today. Wireless charging, so we have a wireless charger right in front of the armrest on the center console. So we tried to maximize the storage space that we had in there. So it actually is right in front of that armrest, holds the phone in tight, especially during some of our spirited driving. And then we have actually our dual phone connectivity, as I mentioned, Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, all part of the Uconnect 5 system, so kind of a really nice aspect there. And then one of the last pieces of the interior that I want to get into is, the slides are jumping around on me, but is our Macintosh system. So we have a really nice partnership with Macintosh. That is going to be in our Wagoneer S. The system includes a 1200 watt amplifier, 19 speaker system with our 12-inch sub. It includes then graphically our digital display up there with the Macintosh gauges, so you visually can see the elements of that interior, which I think a really nice aspect. And Rick's going to touch on a little bit more with something else we have in store for the Macintosh experience when you guys are out there driving. So really excited to obviously get the vehicle out in your hands. Excited to bring this interior together with just legendary authenticity in terms of luxury, combining it obviously with all the tech that I talked about, and hopefully giving you guys a really great experience today. So I'll be out there with you. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to pass it on to Alice and Ram to kind of get underneath the skin of the product. So thank you guys.